Hello, my loves, and welcome back to BS with Bethany Simcoe. This is your host, Bethany Simcoe. We are well into 2025. It is January 15th. Now, the thing that's going on in the world that people are currently freaking out about is TikTok. There is like this whole thing of, is TikTok gonna get banned? They're taking it to the Supreme Court, I think. I haven't really been following it. Every time it comes on my For You page, they're like, TikTok is going to be banned or TikTok is saved. TikTok is this. I like literally just scroll immediately because I'm like, don't care. I don't care. All right, I don't care. I don't want to know. All right. If it gets banned, it gets banned. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Guess what? We're going to be okay anyways. And I posted this on my spam page. If you don't follow my spam page, mom, you're not allowed to. Everybody else, it's called Milfany. All right. Because sometimes Milfany comes out to play and she has some shit to say. She's a rhyming queen. That's the kind of day this is gonna be, all right? Lots of sass in the air. But yeah, Milfany is just kind of where I post like all of my like internal thoughts and like where I'm really, really, really honest with things. And to be really, really honest, don't freak out, right? Like TikTok, I seriously doubt it will get banned. Like seriously, seriously doubt. But like, I just really think it's funny that every single time something happens in the world, everyone freaks out, and like that's the whole point. That's what is called fear mongering. The reason they're mongering it, the reason they're going after your fear, is because it's so expensive. It's so good. Your fear is such a good thing for marketing because then you watch, then you focus, then you, oh, my friend Kraylin's here. Hold on. She's been staying with me for a while. I'm going to go say bye to her and we'll resume. We are back, but yeah, she's moving to Maui. So everybody say bye, Kraylin. Good luck out there. Anyways, your focus is expensive, and that is the title of today's episode. That's what we're going to be talking about. And I think it's so awesome that this is coming at the right time. Like, I think this is the perfect time to remind ourselves how expensive our focus is and how much our focus shapes the world that we live in. So we'll take like the TikTok example, and I think it's so fun because I posted a video that was like, wait, if it does get banned, like what kind of content should I do? But that my main goal for that was just like interacting, being like, what kind of content do we like to see? What content do we want more of? And just playing on the joke of it. And I love that. I love that there's so much content out there that's like playing on the joke of it, like downloading like that the Chinese version of TikTok, what, like Red Note? I did that. I thought it was hilarious. So I think keeping things light and fun and just remembering that like life is just meant to be fun and we're meant to just like make jokes out of everything and like just have some fun with it, and like nothing is really ever that deep, and like even if it were to be banned, everybody would be okay, and like it would probably be a redirection for so many people who needed it, and it would be an opportunity for new people to pop off and an opportunity for current content creators to be like, oh, what kind of content do I really want to be making? Like even if it were to be banned, how cool of an opportunity would that be? So anytime anybody texts me and asks me like, oh, if it gets banned, are you going to be okay? I'm going to be awesome. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm still going to live in a world where I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm still going to be a billionaire one day. I'm still going to be a household name. I'm still going to get everything I want. And if it gets banned, good. That means it's part of the plan. Like, that means that it's part of my success and it's part of my path. Because what did we learn last time? This is what I'm learning right now, just day in and day out. It's confirming to me more and more that we are the creator of our world. All of these things that you see in front of you happened in your mind first, and then they were projected out onto a screen. So you can get every single thing you want once you decide what it is that you want and just keep focusing on that. Because anything that you see around you that isn't what you want is because you are allowing it to be that way. And I use this with like embarrassment sometimes, or people being mad at me. If I say what I want to say, or if I want to say what I actually mean, or like I want to say what I want to say, but I'm like, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm mean. They're going to think that I'm full of myself. They're going to think da 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 da. Who said that? I did. I am projecting. I am thinking that by saying this, I'm full of myself. I'm thinking by saying this, I'm selfish. I'm thinking by saying this, I'm a bad person, right? Like whatever the this is. And sometimes I feel like some of my takes are like a little bit, I don't know, like it's just like very much like take responsibility for yourself, and it's very triggering for people sometimes, but like it's really not. Like it's really, really not. I keep saying that, but like truly anybody who's listening to this is probably like, dude, like I'm right there with you, girl. I get it. Like we are responsible for ourselves, and like not everyone's gonna understand that, but I feel like the majority of us are like, yeah, like we're right there with you. And the reason that so many of the people who listen to this podcast are right there with me is because that's what I've created. Like, I have believed in what I'm saying, and I have believed in my journey to get to this point because it's been so authentic to me. It's been so inspiring to me. So yeah, I know with very little doubt that this is helpful to people. People are going to love this because it was super helpful to me. And any little shadows of doubt that I have left of like, is this helpful? Am I crazy? Am I learning the right things? Am I like finding the right way through this path? Those are shown up in the people who do reflect that back to me and are like, no, you're crazy, right? Like any doubts I have in myself are reflected back to me, and any confidences I have in myself are also reflected back to me, which is really exciting. Speaking of insecurity, I keep having to stop this podcast because everyone and their neighbor is out and about right now. I just have like two of my neighbors, or like two of the people who live in my complex with me. Like I've live in a house, like a triplex kind of thing, and almost everybody who's lived in that house has come out just now. And I'm like recording in my car with my windows down. So every time they come out, I like shut up and pause the recording and just sit there so awkwardly until they leave. Because I'm not about to record a podcast with them standing right there. Like, that's so awkward. So, hey, listen, maybe that's my insecurity talking, but I don't care. All right, let it yap, let it talk. I don't really care. Because I'm not recording a podcast with them watching me. That's so awkward. Guys, even today, I was recording one of my workout videos up on my balcony, and like, oh my gosh, so many people like passed by, and like one of my neighbors like just stood and stared at me and watched me do it for like 10 minutes. And then another one of my neighbors like came out, like tried to talk to me while I was doing it. And I was like, this is so awkward. Like I literally just wanted to crawl into a shell and be like, don't look at me. Did I tell you somebody also filmed me recording the other day? Like I was in a park, I was the only one there, and someone just comes and like starts filming me like 5 feet away from me, and I'm like, I want to crawl anywhere else right now. Like this is so awkward. Oh my God, you guys, being a content creator is so embarrassing, low key. Like, people ask me, how did you become a content creator? I just have no concept of like social anxiety when it comes to my phone. Like other people around me, like if interacting with people, yes, like that can make me anxious. But like on my phone, don't care. Like they don't know me. I don't know them. Like they can't yell at me through a screen because I can just turn my phone off, right? Literally being a content creator is just like being willing to be embarrassing for years. Like I started posting in 2020. It's been 5 years. I have been embarrassing for 5 years. Oh my gosh. Okay. Another thing. We're on a rant right now. Your focus is so expensive, and this comes into like the way that you speak about people. Like be aware of the way that you criticize people and like the way that you speak about people. If there's somebody trying something and you're like, wow, they're really not doing well, you just reflected your own fear of success and your own fear of looking stupid. And that's going to reflect into other people thinking that you're cringy and you're stupid. So if you think that you can judge other people and get that out there before they have a chance to judge you, the opposite is true. When you are reflecting and like when you're reflecting judgments to other people and you're like, that's so cringy. They don't know what they're doing. That's awkward. That's weird. They're trying too hard. Then you are then like inviting other people to look at you and think the exact same thing. So be as kind as you can to people, especially people who are doing what you want to do. If they're like starting a brand, if they are becoming an actor, becoming a singer, becoming whatever, like be very kind to those kind of people, especially like people who are wealthy and rich. Like be nice to them in your mind if you want to be wealthy and rich, because you cannot criticize and then receive. You can't criticize being like wealthy and being smart and owning homes and things like that. I feel like, oh, like that's a bad thing and only bad people do that. Well, how are you supposed to receive that? Because like on the low key, you really want it, but you're never gonna like say that out loud. All you're gonna do is criticize it. Well, then you're never gonna get it in a way that makes you feel good. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me read you back something that I wrote a few days ago about how you are the center of your universe. And this is like a journal entry, and then we'll get this kind of leads into how your focus is so expensive, why it's so expensive, and how to use that. So this was on January 8th. I said, a new concept really started to solidify for me as I was falling asleep last night. I am the only one in my universe. Everything I've ever experienced, come across, or observed is a very specific slice of what I have created. Nothing else is real except what I observe. Anything I see is a reflection of what I have thought up in my brain in a very literal way. Guys, listen, keep your mind open for this, all right? Keep your mind open. These people around me do not exist. These situations don't exist. Only my mind exists and throws projections out around me. It's like I'm in this tube and I can set things forth that I want to observe from my tube. And if there's anything I don't want, I say, you don't exist. I am the only thing in the universe. And my visualization is that like my little tube spins so that all the unwanted things go flying off into non-existence. So if someone's making me sad, why in the hell would I create a world where someone's making me sad? They don't even exist unless I tell them to exist and I make it exist. Choose something else. If someone is judging me, they don't even exist. That's me judging me and projecting it into the world. So that means I'm judging me. Choose something different. The energy I feel is not just allowing. Like, I'm not just, oh, like, allow things to flow and it's going to come at you. Like, the energy isn't some third party thing that's just coming at you like a baseball at your face, and you just have to kind of allow it and absorb the punch of it and just go where it flows you to. That analogy doesn't really work for me because it's like, oh, relax and flow. And I'm like, that makes me annoyed because I want to do more in my life than just like relax and allow. I want to create. I want to like get in there. I want to have fun with it. I want to challenge myself. I don't want to just like sit back and float on my back down a stream, you know? So I said the energy I feel is not just allowing, I'm not just allowing the energy to flow, I'm directing the energy. I'm commanding it. It's an orchestra. I'm orchestrating, I'm creating, right? Like that's what we are. We're creators. We're orchestrators, not just float down the stream on your backers. We're not just let the baseball hit you in the face and fall backwards because that's where the momentum of the baseball went. No, you are the energy. You are flowing it around. You're directing it. You're throwing the baseball, right? So I said, if I observe someone being distant, I have created that distance, and I have created someone who is not receiving my energy in a way that feels good. Why would I do that? Don't create that. Direct a different scene. No one really exists anyways. Each and everything in my life I've placed. I've created my neighbors, my DMs, my followers, my relationships, the trees around me. Any limits I observe don't exist. I have created them and then created a life around those limits. If I deem anything stupid, like this pen is so stupid, because as I was writing this, my pen was running out of ink. I'm like, oh, who designed this pen? It's so stupid. And I was like, well, you created it. You designed it. The only thing that things only exist if you observe them into existence. So, in this little mind reality that I've created, I made this pen come into my lap. So, I better not criticize it because that means I'm criticizing myself. So, anything, pen designs, laws of the government, behaviors of people around me, why would I criticize that? Why? It's kind of silly I criticize it because I created it. This is the world and the reality I have drawn into and created around me. Why would I create someone who has something that I can't have? Why would I create something I can't have? If I'm looking at someone, it's like, oh, I can never have that. I'm not good enough for that. Why would you create a job or an occupation or a reality that you can't have? Like, you are genuinely the only one that can limit you. So, create something you can have, or realize that everything you do create, you can have. The only reason you have the physical ability to observe something is because it's available to you. You can have it. All of the wealth that you see, all of the cars that you see, all the happy relationships that you see, you wouldn't even be able to observe those if they weren't possible to you. On the flip side, they are possible to you because you observe them. You observe them into existence, so obviously they're within your grasp. Let that settle into your brain in the most literal way that you can stomach, because I know it feels a little bit weird of like, wait, what about this? Like, is it selfish or narcissistic to say that I'm the only one in the universe? Is it, what are the dangers with that? Like, that's where my mind first goes, is like, is this narcissistic to say? But I don't think that it is, because it's all about taking responsibility and creating a better world for yourself. And it's not about harming or hurting anybody. It's just about stop observing the things that you don't like. And it's not about putting up a fight for the things that you don't like. And if someone's not doing what you want, you're not going to sit there and degrade them and say, you're nothing in my universe. I'm the creator of this universe. I don't care about your feelings. You're going to observe the good things about that person until things unravel in the way that you need them to. You're going to observe the good things about traffic because you are the only one in the universe, and the universe is working tirelessly to get you what you want because you're the only one there. All of this traffic, all of this resistance, all of this stuckness is from you. And when you start to embody that, like, I am the luckiest one in the world, like, it is not crazy to think about the sea parting for me. It is not crazy to think about this sea of cars in front of me all of a sudden splitting down the middle and me just zooming past. It's not crazy to think that because you are the only one in your universe. Everybody you see look around you, they are projections of your mind, right? Like it it's a mind tease, it's a mind boggle, but like it's really, really, really cool to play around with. I've been like really diving into that this week. Just things around me when I'm like anxious about seeing people or I'm anxious about something happening. And like I think I really care about what people think about me. That's like one thing I get wrapped up in a lot is like what do people think about me? How do they observe me? How do I appear in their mind? And I try to kind of manipulate that by acting a certain way instead of letting my mind settle first, deciding who I am in my mind, and then acting that way and realizing that when I'm okay with what's going on in my mind, then I can decide to attract people. I can decide for people to see me that same way. And I don't have to act any certain way for people to see me that way. I've just already decided that they're going to perceive me that way. I've already decided that I have chosen people and I've chosen friends that enjoy my presence. I've already decided that. I don't have to change the way that I present. I've just already decided that they do like my presence because why would I create a world in which my friends don't like my presence? Why would I create a world in which people don't like what I post on social media? Why would I create a world where earning money is hard? That's just like why would I do that? That's if you think about it like any of your like ailments or any of your hardships, why would I create that? And it's in no way to shame you for creating what you have created. And I know there are like really hard circumstances, but what about this? But what about this? But what about this? But I think the sooner that you can realize there are no exceptions to this rule, the sooner that you can start taking control back. And I'm going to go like down the route of sometimes tragedies do happen and sometimes really bad things do happen. And I think about 2020 in my life where I was very suicidal, where I had been sexually assaulted multiple times, where I was having a really, really hard time at home and I was going through a lot of emotional abuse at home and I was going through a lot of really hard things at school and I was really, really overwhelmed. I was really uncomfortable in my body. Like there was just so much like whenever I think about like my peak misery, I think about 2020. For me, that was just miserable. And then I was forcibly sent to a mental hospital, and that was hell. Like I describe it as prison. It was literally like prison. I got maybe 15 minutes of outside time a day if they even let us go outside. We were not allowed any family visitors because it was like right around the time that COVID was happening. Literally right there actually because I went into the mental hospital like March, beginning of March, March 11th or something. I don't know, but like right there with like the COVID. So we weren't really allowed visitors. We weren't allowed to like touch each other. We weren't allowed to like give each other hugs or high fives or anything. And like if you did touch somebody, you were put on unit where you weren't allowed any, you know, interaction with anybody for 24 hours. You weren't allowed to leave your room. Like just it really felt like prison. There was like a locked door every 20 steps or so and we basically just like sat and colored in like coloring books and like watched shows and like wrote down things and learned what sadness was and like learned about anger and I'm like, I'm sorry, is this helpful? This doesn't feel helpful. I don't feel helped right now. Dude, also, they would come like shine a light in your eyes like every 15 minutes, like make sure you are alive, even when you were sleeping. You're like, oh, good morning. Even when you're in the shower, that happened several times. I'd be in the shower and like they'd come and like have to make sure that like I was alive and breathing. And I also wasn't allowed to like go to the bathroom 15, but I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom an hour after eating because like I had history of like bulimia and stuff. Anyways, I'm just like laying out this picture because it sucked. It really, really, really sucked. And it was definitely the hardest thing I've ever been through. Um, and it is hard to come to terms with the fact that that is a projection of my mind and that I, for lack of better terms, brought that upon myself, especially things like the R word, right? Um, it's hard to think that, like, oh, I created and designed this specific reality. And if I take myself back to that moment, I'm like, no, like that little girl would never, like that 17-year-old girl would never have created that reality for herself. Or when I was like 15, 16, and I had, you know, not even, I hadn't even kissed the boy, but like I had kind of like fooled around with, or like I was in this guy's basement and like I kind of like sat on his lap and then it spread around the school that like him and I had hooked up and like then I had the branding of being like this hoe and I'm like I remember that was very traumatic for me as a kid because I felt like so objectified and I felt like so you know just uncomfortable in my own skin because I grew up so like you know raised that like sex was very very bad and like very taboo and like now all of a sudden having this reputation of somebody who was just like loose with her morals was like so upsetting to me. And at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's getting me attention. Like, let's play into this. Like, boys actually like me now because I feel like I grew up like not very, like, I grew up a kind of an awkward. I view myself as an awkward and ugly kid growing up, but I think that's also a problem that I can reset. But all of those things that you really resent growing up, all those things that happen, and like I grew up being bullied for sure. Like I would come home crying, and like I remember one time my mom came into our class and just was like dropping off lunch to my sister or something. I saw her in the hallways and I ran up to her and just started sobbing because like every single day I was in school, I was just like so distraught. And it was so hard for me to like go and feel normal and not feel annoying or like I wasn't a part of the group. And like that's something that really sticks with you. And you look back and you're like, wait, fifth grade me, like, I wouldn't have decided to do that. Well, I did. Like, I wouldn't have brought that into my world. Well, I did. And like, that's the hard truth is like, well, I know you don't want it, but like, you did it. And the power, the way you take your power back is figuring out how you did it. It doesn't matter why you did it. There's no blame to be placed. Like, you did it. It's not a blameful thing. It's just, wait, if I did it, that means I can undo it. That's freaking cool. Doesn't matter why you did it. Doesn't matter. You can't go back and change that. You can say, wow, yeah, that wasn't fun. That caused me to create a lot of emotions that sucked, right? Like me getting a whole R word kit in the hospital until 5 a.m. with my sobbing parents and like a social worker. Do you think that I would go and like write that down and be like, I want to experience that? No, that's crazy. But my emotions of helplessness, my emotions of feeling like I was out of control in life, feeling like I didn't value my own, like feeling like all of that stuff from feeling like I was like objectified and feeling like I needed love from other places, like all of that, whether I realize it or not, projected onto a screen in front of me. And there's no blame there. And there's no, oh, why did you do it? Like, why? Like, why did you choose that? No, like, holy cow, that's awesome. I get to see what emotions create what scenes in front of me, right? And I've had a lot of experimentation with that. I've had a lot of really, really low mental points. And like that gives me the opportunity to notice what feelings were you feeling? What beliefs were you repeating back to yourself? What had your focus? What and who held your focus and how did they make you feel? And then from there, I can say, okay, A, B, C, D. Here's what I focused on. Like, I focused on, like, when I was 16 and 17, I was literally going on dates with like 23-year-old dudes. And I was focused on their approval because I felt so inherently unworthy. And I felt so I just like I didn't feel like I connected with my peers. I felt really different and like all of those feelings from growing up and like living in my household left me feeling out of control. It left me feeling helpless, which are two of the worst things a person could ever feel. So if you're feeling those ways, I'm so sorry. And there is ways out of that. There is ways to climb out of that and create something else because the more we feel helpless and out of control, the more we create situations where we are helpless and out of control. And that's the last thing that we want. And we have every resource and control inside our minds to move forward from that. So, growing up, like feeling annoying, feeling like I don't connect with my peers, feeling like I need love and approval from like an older man, right? Like that led me to places where again, there was a power dynamic that was unbalanced. It led me to more places where there were older men who I was seeking their approval and still not getting it, and still feeling helpless, and still feeling second best and not good enough, and like I don't measure up, and like I'm always fighting for attention and approval. So I can see now that the way that I was feeling, if I move forward from a feeling of helplessness, I'm going to continue to find a feeling of helplessness. That is why your focus is so expensive because my focus was on my focus was I'm like focusing a lot right now on like this very specific piece of my lore, like my piece of like my relationship with like sex and being a victim in that sense. Because I very much felt like a victim. But in my life, like there were still so many other things like I was a business owner. Like, I started my first business when I was 15, and I had so much focus on that. And I had so much focus on my abundance in that sense and like how possible things were for me in that sense. And it led me to start another business. I started another clothing brand. I became a Sterling Scholar for business. Got into business school at USU before COVID happened. Like, I had this trajectory of like believing in myself and of business and of trying new things and of thinking I could do anything I put my mind to. Like, I became a cheerleader having never cheered a day in my life. I just auditioned and got onto the team. Like, I would just try anything that I could. I auditioned for The Voice just because I could. And there was a lot of things that I did just because I could and just because I believed in myself. So we have these two things. And this one over here is continuing, the one over here being like my business mindset, believing anything is possible for me. And that has snowballed a trajectory of now I'm more successful than I've ever been, and I'm going to continue to get more successful. And I live by myself in a 2-bedroom apartment that I can afford by myself in Hawaii, and I'm going to go to San Diego next. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so expensive." And I say, "La la 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 la, don't tell me that. I'm focused on my wealth." Okay, I'm going to afford a beautiful apartment in San Diego. I bought a beautiful little RAV4 all by myself because I believe in myself. I believe in my intelligence. I believe in my smarts. I believe in my ability to build my credit score. I believe in my ability to save money. Like, I believe, and not even save money, but just to be abundant. So it's really cool to see how those two different things have snowballed. And for me, the way that I am stopping the snowball of my belief of helplessness in relationships, or like my belief of um, unworthiness, or people not liking me, or feeling helpless or only good for my body, is that I have taken a step back from sex altogether. Like, I have decided that I'm going to be celibate until marriage because it's really hard to stop a runaway train. It's really hard to like direct a runaway train. Like a train that's going 200 miles an hour and you're trying to tell it to turn around and go the other way. It's going to take so much work. So what I'm doing is I'm stopping the momentum. I'm saying I don't want to be in any more situations that perpetuate that idea that I already have in my head. So I'm just going to stop. Like, I'm just going to give myself a rest. I'm going to slow that train down and I'm going to breathe life back into myself. I'm going to breathe truths back into myself. I'm going to figure out how I feel before I allow that train to keep going. And like, in realistically, like trains, like thought trains and momentum never really stops, but it can slowly go to a different direction. And then I can ramp up that momentum when it's time for me to be in a new romantic relationship. But that for me is just how I'm being careful with my energy and my focus. I no longer want to focus on people who make me feel only used for my body, only good enough to sleep with, and helpless in a situation where they're asserting their will on me and I am too scared to say no. Like, I don't want to put myself in that situation. And at the same time, any feelings of victimhood that I have, any feelings of helplessness and worthlessness can come to me really in any form. Like, I could still, if I still had those thoughts in my brain, like there's nothing stopping, like, oh my gosh, it really does sound like I'm victim blaming right now, what I was about to say. Like, I was going to say, like, there's nothing stopping a man from, like, on the street for, like, coming and assaulting me. I am in no way victim blaming, okay? There is no excuse. Like, that person still has their free will 110,000%, and it's not okay in any way. And the man who assaulted me, no. Like, do I think he should be in jail? Yeah. Like, hello. He's not. I don't know where he is today, but like, I and that's where I go back and forth. Like, I am by no means an expert on all of this, you guys. Like, I still go back and forth, but it's like, well, like, but they still have the assailant still has their free will. So like, what are you saying? Are you saying that like the victim like brought this upon themselves and like they wanted it? No, I'm not saying they wanted it. In fact, they very much did not want it. And I think that's the thing. It's like feeling like it's the way that you feel and so the thing that you attract. And like, I'm just going to let you sit with that and wrestle with that because I have to wrestle with that too. This is the coolest thing about like mindset stuff and like realizing that you are the creator of your world with 100% accuracy, and like the way like it never fails. You never experience something you didn't already create. And it's like, ooh, you gotta sit with that. You gotta be like, oh, Okay. And the way that I kind of deal with it is I try not to think about things that are outside of my own experience and outside of my own control. And it's like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? You could truly play that game forever. Stress yourself out with it. Like I've played that game and I've stressed myself out with it. Well, what about this? Well, what about good things happening to bad people and bad things happening to good people? What about this? What about this? What if we just focus on ourselves first? What if we just figure out and we test that premise on ourselves first? What if we take a year to test the premise? And this is what I've been doing. I said, Bethany, what if we take a year to test the premise of what you focus on, you get more of, and you are the creator of your world? And so far, it's been accurate. It's been right. The things that I have focused on, the things that I have consistently focused on, have physically appeared into my reality. And it's not always like the things, like the thing that you focus on, it's the feeling state that you focus on. So if I'm focusing on abundance, I will see abundance. I can't always predict exactly how that abundance is going to look, but if I'm feeling stressed out, I'm going to get more things that like stress me out. I can't always predict what's going to stress me out. Like I'm still figuring out how all of this works, but just from my experience, the way that you feel just brings more of what you feel. So wrestle with that any way you gotta, but it's a universal truth. So anyways, your focus is expensive. Let's talk about that. And we honestly have really been talking about that in a roundabout way this whole time. And actually, no, not roundabout. We've been talking about it in a pretty literal way. What you focus on, you get. And the way that you focus leads to the way that you feel. So if you're focusing on the fact that you are consistently making money every single month and you're celebrating that, that's awesome because that means you're going to get more of that. That feeling of celebration that you're feeling, you're going to get more of that. The thought that you have comes from what you focus on. So, like the input comes from your outer world and you are focusing on that input. You decide what you input. You are focusing on something. That focus, that input creates a feeling. That feeling goes into your vibration. And we've kind of talked about this before, but we are 99.9999999% energy. And we are 0.000000009. No, and we are 0.0000001% matter. Because if you think about the structure of an atom, you have the nucleus, and then you have a shit ton of space, and then you have the electrons. And what is between that shit ton of space? That's like the energy. That is what we are talking about. And I really encourage you to read Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. It explains what I'm trying to say so much better. But the energy that fills the space between like the atom and the electrons, like that is what I'm talking about when I say like the emotion creates like the energy around you. Like there are literal quantum physics vibrations that go on right there. Like it's really really cool to me to like see the science behind it. It's like, wait, like this is so awesome. This is so cool because my thoughts and my emotions and my feelings genuinely do have a direct impact on the world around me. So if I'm focusing on something, I'm observing it. It goes into my brain. It becomes a feeling. That feeling is then also controlling what I continue to focus on. So, like, my feeling, if I'm feeling like really sad and upset, I'm going to continue to get sad and upset by the things that are focused, like that I am focusing upon. And it's like if you have those red goggles on and there's a bunch of like colored particles in front of you, you're only going to see the colors. You're not going to see the red particles because you got the red glasses on because they're going to blend in. Like to you, you're just not going to see them. Like if you have blue glasses on, the blue is not really going to stand out to you because you've already got the blue. You're going to see everything else, right? Or opposite way, if you have glasses that only see red, then those little glasses, you're gonna be like red, 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 red. Wow, there's a lot of red in this world. That's weird. That's crazy. Yes, because you have your little rose-colored glasses on. Keep them on. Keep your rose-colored glasses on. They belong squarely on your face. Keep them on always, because focusing on the good in the world is only going to continue to bring you good. One of my favorite analogies I heard is like if you're walking through the mall and someone is like trying to sell you some like cheap perfume from a stand and you're like, "No, baby, I'm on my way to Sephora because I'm getting the Color Wow Money Mist spray because it's freaking awesome and it makes your hair feel delightful." And someone's like, "Hey, buy this cheap perfume." You're like, no, thank you. I'm on my way to go get my money mist and I'm gonna go get it." And you're just not going to give them like your attention, right? Because if you do get sidetracked and they're going to ask for things from you and then you're going to be annoyed and it's like a whole thing, you're focused. You've got your things to do. So anything around you that you're like, no, like that doesn't make me feel good. Like thinking that way, feeling that way, this person saying this to me, what if I really am a bad person? Like those thoughts that like just those pesky little thoughts. What if I really am a bad person? What if I really am a bad friend? What if people really are annoyed by me? What if I'm actually not going to be successful? What if I'm stuck in this career forever? Those are pesky salesmen. Okay. Those are people who are trying to sell you who knows what, some like $300 phone screen repair. Those are people who are going to make you feel just like icky and weird and gross and annoyed. Ignore them, swat them to the wind. Goodbye. Wave bye bye. Bye now. And you focus and you go to Sephora because that's where you want to be. It's where you deserve to be. Let's talk about that, okay? But just seriously, like anything that makes you feel a pit of dread in your stomach, makes you feel anxious, makes you feel uncomfortable, that is your signal that, like, oh, pesky salesman in my brain, he's trying to sell me a lie. There's a pesky salesman that's trying to be like, hey, I want your attention. Hey, look at me. I want your attention. And I'm going to like make you feel bad because a lot of times when people feel bad, they sit and they focus. How can I stop feeling bad right now? This thing is making me feel very bad. Maybe if I focus on it more and figure out how to stop feeling bad, then I'll stop feeling bad. And that pesky salesman just won because it just got your attention. You focused on it. And your expensive focus that could be focused on your abundance and your wealth and the people around you who love you and your dog who wants to go on a walk because he's adorable and cute and perfect. And if you have a dog, please kiss him on the head for me because I really want a dog right now. Then, and that's a really good hack. If like you're in like a loop and you're like can't see the good in anything, go play with an animal. Like, hello, that's gonna get you right out of that loop so fast. It's gonna make you feel so much better. You're like, wait, there is good in this world. I have a cat on my lap, right? And that's like another one of my favorite hacks is like, wait, let's just go like, or if you have like a best friend, just go hang out with them. Just go giggle, go laugh, just go do something that feels good. Go on a walk, go get some coffee, go get a sweet treat because I promise you that sweet treat changes lives. It changes worlds, and I stand by that. I think world peace could be solved with a sweet treat. And I stand by that, okay? All right. So your focus is expensive. Here are some ways that we can implement that this week. So this week, hype up the things that you do like and challenge yourself to shut up about anything you don't like and anything you're judging. So as you're going through your world, just take this time to be really self-aware and say, okay, as I'm going throughout my day, I'm really annoyed and I'm anxious and there's tension in my shoulders. Like start with body awareness. If you have a hard time identifying what you're feeling, just kind of start with some body awareness. Like, okay, my shoulders are tense, my jaw is clenched, and I feel like I'm having a hard time breathing. Okay, first things first, let's relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, and kind of talk through what you're feeling. A really good thing to help you tap into what you're feeling is called EFT tapping. You tap on the meridian centers of your body. You take your two fingers, you tap on the side of your hand, and then you take them and you tap. I do like my middle finger or like two fingers, and then you tap on the inside of your eyebrows, and then you tap on the outside of your eyes with both hands. You tap right here, I believe it's right underneath your nostrils, and then you tap on your chin. I'm really hoping I'm getting all the spots here. And then you tap on your chest. You take your hand, all five fingers tap on your chest. You take your hand, all five fingers tap underneath your armpit, right around your bra line. All five fingers tap on top of your head. And you breathe as you do this. Go ahead and do that on the other side, or like keep doing that, keep cycling that. And as you do it, talk through what you're feeling. Just start telling someone as if you're ranting to a therapist. Say, I feel like I'm really overwhelmed with the amount of work that I have to do, and I'm not even sure if the work that I'm trying to do right now is really even helping anybody, if anybody even cares about it. I feel like I'm just making content to make content, and am I even still doing the content that I want to do? And like, will I look back and enjoy this later? Like, these are some of my thoughts that I've had to work out. And it's like, do people even care? Do I even care about what I'm posting? Like, is this going to work? Is this a sustainable thing? Is it a long-term thing? And as you're talking, you'll start to work it out. So in that moment, I may be overwhelmed. I'm doubting my worth. I'm doubting my ability. I'm doubting my career trajectory. As you talk through it, realize that every single thing that you say is something you've created. So I'm feeling discouraged because my content isn't performing well. That means that I have created that. So on this whiteboard that I'm drawing onto, or on this wall that I'm projecting onto, I have written down the words, I create content that doesn't perform well. Well, that's crazy. Why would I write that down? That's a ridiculous thing to write down. Erase that. All right, get that shit out of the way. Write down, I create content that I love and that performs well and that people eat up and people want more of and people think that I'm their comfort creator and they feel connected to me. And every time I post, I feel satisfied and it goes viral and like da da da, right? Like, fix that. Decide what you do want. Figure out what you actually do want, because obviously you don't want your content or your work or your career or like what you're giving people to go unnoticed. You don't want to feel discarded. Write down what you do want and get really good about focusing on what you do want. So if I'm saying, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable in this situation and I'm not feeling valued. Say, okay, got it. I know that I don't want to feel valued. So I know that I don't want to feel unvalued. So what do I want? I want to feel valued. I want to feel safe in my own skin. I want to feel confident. And just even by switching and saying what you do want, now you're focused on something positive. So you can still have like a lack of something, like a lack of money, and not feel lackful. Because you can say, oh, I need to not be broke. Say, I want more money. And like, okay, you have to say it from like a place, not you have to, but like, it's really helpful to say it from a place of like excitement and not just like, oh, I want more money, but just like, wow, I want the ability to buy whatever I want. I want to feel like I can just go to the store and buy any groceries and not have to worry about it. I want to feel like I can get gas anytime. I want to feel like I can buy my dream home. I want to feel like I can pay for my friends at dinner and just like not even blink an eye. I want to feel like I can buy my dream car. Just like figure out what you do want. So anytime you have a thought of like, oh, I don't like this, I don't want this, take your power back, switch your focus, decide where you want your focus because it's so expensive. Your focus is your currency. You pay attention to things. You pay for things with your attention. So what do you want? You're already spending your attention anyways. Don't let your attention get wrapped up in things that aren't going to give you a good ROI, right? Get that return on your investment. Get your goodness, get your abundance from where your focus is. So this week, whenever you see something you don't like, or when you're speaking about somebody and criticizing them, kind of take a step back and say, why am I criticizing them? What have they triggered in me for me to criticize them? And just kind of reframe and refocus. Figure out what you do want to feel, figure out what you do like about that person. Number 2 really goes along with number 1. You get what you talk about and you get what you think about. Do you want things to be happy about or do you want things to judge? I mean, do you want to go throughout your life feeling angry and like having road rage and being pissed off at everybody and feeling like everyone's against you and like your parents are mean to you and your partner's mean to you and everybody's in a relationship but you and everyone's succeeding but you? Do you want things to judge people about? Do you want to judge that person who's switching careers and actually trying and like you think they're being so cringe on LinkedIn? Do you want to criticize them or do you want things to be happy about? Do you want to focus on what makes you happy? And like, the fact that that person's even posting on LinkedIn and trying something new is proof that you can try something new at any time. Or the fact that like you have parents, both of your parents still in your life, that's a win in itself. And you don't have to like try to force yourself to be happy about something. You can just take your wins where you can find them. Maybe say 1 or 2 good things about your parents. If you don't like them, maybe say like 1 or 2 things that you do like about them, that you can stand about them or something. And like, just leave that be and then it shifts your focus. And every time you go back to your parents and like the thought of them pisses you off again, say 1 or 2 good things that you really believe about them, like something that you're like, okay, yeah, like I can get behind this. And oh, are you leaving? Okay, my friend Cray's leaving for sure now. But yeah, it's really up to you to like decide what to focus on and what to praise. So just this week, try to like praise things as much as you can. Try to like hype them up. Even if you can't stand a certain someone or you can't stand your job, just like name 1 or 2 things. You're like, you know what? I think they're doing their best. Or I liked their hair today. Okay. And then just like focus on something else that makes you feel good and just makes you feel happy because you really change your life from that point of feeling happy. Okay, that didn't make any sense. When you are feeling happy, that's when you get the inspiration to change your life in good ways. Like you get the best inspiration and you get that energy to actually move forward when you're feeling good. That's when like inspiration strikes and you're like, wait, actually, I'm kind of here for this. And you're not just like, oh, leave me alone. I already have so much on my plate. Like, you know, there's always room for all the emotions you're feeling, but just try to be really consistent with your outward appreciation of things or even your inward appreciation of things this week and just notice if you feel any different. Notice if any luckier things happen to you this week. The next one is be aware of your music, of your For You page, your podcasts, your books. is that the narrative you want more of? So just as you're scrolling or as you're listening to music, just be like, is this the narrative that I want more of? One of the biggest things is like my For You page, there's a lot of drama on it sometimes. Like this week, here's a good example. This week there was like this bride that had her makeup done by a makeup artist, and then she like washed it off, and there was like this whole drama of like criticizing her for like washing off the makeup. And it was like the makeup artist that came on, and she was like really teary-eyed because she's like, I thought he did a good job. And like everybody in the comments was just ripping apart the girl that like had washed off her makeup. And there were other makeup artists tapping in and being like, if you're the client, you should be communicating, and like this is just like the whole problem with the makeup industry. And it's just like, all right, okay, like it's not that huge of a deal, you know, it's like not that big of a drama thing, but it's just like at that point it's like, all right, is this really what I need to be spending my time on, judging and criticizing other people? Because like when you're reading those comments, you're like disagreeing or agreeing or like judging or criticizing, even if you don't really realize you're doing it. And once you've decided that you want to go on social media and you want to feel good and you want to experience things that are lucky and you want to experience things that feel good, you'll notice how much out there actually doesn't really feel very good. And you're like, I don't need to be involved with this drama right now. And like, I actually don't need to be watching whatever natural disaster there is and like the wreckage upon wreckage upon wreckage. I actually don't need to be watching that because I don't want more of that in my life. I don't want more devastation. I don't want more helplessness. But if there's like a video of like a bunch of volunteers helping out and it's making you feel inspired and good, great. Watch that. Like, it just is so interesting because I've been on social media the past few days, just like scroll. No, that doesn't feel good. Scroll. It's just really cool. So just kind of pay attention to like how you feel when you watch something. If something makes you feel like you're not good enough, if like, oh, here's how you're doing this wrong, or if some like if you're watching someone and you're like, oh my gosh, like if they don't make your body feel good, if they don't make you feel good about your skin, if they make you feel like you should be changing your diet, if they make you feel like you should be changing who you are or changing your habits or routines in a way that doesn't feel good, in a way that's not inspiring, but in a way that feels like you're not doing enough, scroll from that too. Like, we don't need our focus on that because the more you feel like you're not doing enough, the more you're going to feel like you're not doing enough. And you can't really get out of that loop until you decide to get out of that loop. Same thing with music. Like, I started to notice the past few days, like music that's like, oh, like I want him so bad, but he doesn't want me. And like, I just am never going to find love and I'm so lonely. Like, I actually have started to be like, ew, stop. Like, literally stop that. What are you doing? No, that's not who we are. It's really funny because I love to write music and I write a lot of music like that. It's like my unrequited love and like, I'm always going to love him more than he's going to love me. And I'm like, all right. It's all fun and games, but at the same time, if you're consistently listening to that and you're consistently singing along to that, it's like, ooh, really? Do we want that? Do we want that in our lives? Do we want more of that? Personally, I do not. I simply never, ever, never, ever want that feeling again of like, I'm so in love with this man and he doesn't even know who I am. Like, oh my gosh, I think I'd rather jump out of this car. So, like, if I can do anything about not having that feeling again, you best believe I'm going to do it. I'm not saying that any of this in a judgy way. Like, all this is stuff I tell myself, and it's like, Beth, no, stop it. For the sake of everything holy, no, I don't want to feel that way anymore. So if I can do something simple as like kind of more being aware of the music that I'm listening to get me out of that, great, I will. Hands down, get me in there. Okay, next one. In order to get rid of something or someone, oh my gosh, wait, going back to like, what's the word? Going back to like being aware of the content that you are watching. I also am like very aware. I've also started being very aware of the content that I'm watching when it comes to like movies and things. And it's like, I really, really hate watching movies about abuse because I'm not about to attract that. Like, movies where you can sympathize with the person who's being abused, I don't want to do that anymore. Or like movies where you can like sympathize with someone who's like being mistreated. I don't want to do that anymore because by sympathizing with that and like by being on the other end of that and like being emotionally that version of myself, I don't want to attract more of that. Like, I don't want more of that. I don't want to see a visual of that. I don't want to feel the emotions of that. I don't want to attract that. I don't want that to exist in my life. I want to stop observing that. So I've been really careful about that kind of stuff. Like, recently is I just, no, 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 no. Like, I don't want to observe that. And I don't want to see that. And that doesn't exist to me. And I'm not going to experience it anymore. Okay, so in order to get rid of something or someone, it doesn't require a big long text of act right or else, or here's how you're hurting me, or here's what you're doing wrong. Instead of just condemning them, wish them well, appreciate their existence, and shift gears to something else. And this is something that I struggle with because I have a hard time knowing when it's right to stand up for something and when it's right to just move forward. I'll give you an example. When I lived in my last house here on the island, I witnessed my landlord abusing his daughter. And I heard it outside my window. I saw him like chasing her out of the house and he was really angry. Like at first I'd heard like shouts and screams and like things banging around in the house and like I saw him like chasing her out and she's sobbing and she's like running and I sprinted out of my house because if I see something like this, like my fight or flight's kicked in. It's triggered. We're going. So I run out of the house. I'm fully barefoot. Contacts are out. I am in my pajamas and I'm like trying to find this girl so I can like, give her a ride to wherever she needs to go because she just bolted off into the night like this teenage girl. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have been that girl that's like running off into the night, literally like trying to run away from home. And I'm like, I'm gonna go get her and I'm going to make her feel safe. Like, anyways, so she ends up coming back to she ends up calling the cops. So I get back to the house. 10 minutes later, cops show up. I watch my landlord get dragged away in cuffs. And I'm like, awesome. Great. What's going on? My adrenaline is still pumping. And I'm like, okay, like at least this girl's safe now. Next thing I know, I hear shouting outside my window and I listen because I could hear like everything that was going on. So like I start listening and I hear someone being like, yelling at this girl being like, why would you like bring this upon you, and like why were you being disobedient, like he had no other choice but to be like hitting you, and like why do you always make your dad so angry. And I was like, no freaking way this is happening to this girl, no way. And it's like, listen, if I'm to take my own advice, I should have just removed my focus from that situation and thought about something else because then it wouldn't come into my reality. But no freaking way am I going to sit around and hear this girl who had just been abused be screamed at by somebody else. No freaking way. Like, my blood is boiling again thinking about it. So I, still barefoot in my pajamas, sprint down the steps, and they're like in their garage, which is like at the bottom of my stairs. I sprint down the steps and I turn and I see this guy and I go, excuse me, who are you? And he was like, I'm this girl's uncle. Who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm the tenant. No. How did it go? Okay. So I asked him who he was. He was like, oh, I'm the uncle. And then he was like, because they were like shouting and it was honestly creating quite a ruckus. And he's like, this is none of your business. Like, are you one of the neighbors? You don't need to be here. I'm like, no, I believe this is my business actually, because I'm the tenant that lives upstairs and you guys are screaming right now. So it's like really late at night. Maybe go to bed and stop being a dickhead. I don't know. So I was like, no, I do have business being here because I'm the upstairs tenant. What's going on? And he's like, get your sorry ass out of here. Like, you have no fucking reason. Like, oh my gosh, when I tell you, he came out swinging and it just boiled my blood even further. I was so mad because he's just screaming at this poor girl that all this just happened to. And he's like, get like your nosy ass out of here. This is none of your fucking business. And I was like, no, this is my business because this girl just got abused. This girl just went through the ringer and you're going to sit here and gaslight her into saying that it was all her fault. Do you know what she's been through? Who the fuck do you think you are? Like, I am railing into him. I am so mad. And she's just sitting there crying and he is just doing the same thing back to me, just screaming, railing into me and like, tell me to get the fuck back upstairs and it's none of my fucking business, and like he's allowed to be an uncle anyway he wants to be an uncle. And like honestly I feel like I blacked out for most of it because like when my adrenaline gets pumping and like there's somebody in need of help, that like it just pisses me off beyond words. Like, oh my gosh. And so I know how it is to like be in the line of fire like that, of like sometimes when someone confronts the abuser, then it like makes it worse for the person being abused because they're like, I don't know, it just sometimes like makes it worse. So I like am trying to tell this girl like, hey, if you need a safe place tonight, come upstairs and knock on my door. You can stay with me for as long as you need. And he's like, get out of here. Like, she's not going anywhere with you. And I'm like, shut up. I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to her. And he's like stepping in front of my vision and being like stepping in between me and this girl and being like, you can't talk to her. And I like was like, you know what, girl, like, I'm so sorry if I'm making this so much worse for you. And he's like, yeah, you are making it worse for her. And I was like, You are an adult acting like this right now. This is so fucking embarrassing for you. Stop it. Get yourself together. Stop abusing a 17-year-old girl. Go figure out your life. Stop gaslighting her. Stop yelling at her. She's going to come stay with me if she wants to stay with me, and you're going to sit right there and figure out your sorry ass life. Like, I was just so mad. I was so mad. And it's like, okay, obviously I'm still giving this so much energy, and obviously I gave it so much energy at that point. I walk upstairs. My hands are shaking. I'm pissed off beyond belief. I sit on my couch and I cry because I'm like, this poor girl is like in the situation, like, oh, it riled me up so badly. And I've done it before and I'll do it again. There was a situation in like my family where something was going down and I did not approve. And not in just a way of like, oh, I think you're being a bad parent. I was like, you are not going to speak to one of my family members like that. Not in this household. And like, yes, in what I'm saying, and like here's where the struggle comes in what I'm saying, I should have just ignored that, and I should have just been like, you know what, like that doesn't exist, and like it won't come into my life if I don't focus on it. And like I still think that's like it's a universal truth, but I'm just trying to balance that, because of course in that moment I'm going to step up and I'm going to say something. But to be fair, sometimes when I say something I just get real sassy, and I don't know if it makes the situation better or for worse, but like I feel like it's so much better that girl feels stood up for. I feel like it's so much better for me to go into that situation and let the person who was being an absolute bully dickhead in that moment, let them know that like, hey, what you're doing is not okay. And let that girl who was having a hard freaking time, who was just put through the ringer in all of 30 minutes, let her know that like, hey, you're not crazy. You should not be hit. You should not be yelled at because you tried to go fishing with your friends. No, like that's crazy, and you're not in the wrong right now. Like you're normal for thinking this is nuts. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. Like in that moment, that was the only thing I cared about conveying to her. It's like I was trying to talk to her, and like through him basically being like, you're not crazy, he's insane. And in that moment, like I don't know what else to do. Because when I stood up for the people like in my household that happened to that one time, I think it did make the situation worse because it became like this whole blow up, like screaming at each other argument. And like, I don't regret it. Like, I will do it again and I will keep doing it. Like I will do that. But it, like, should I? I don't know. I don't know. And like, this is where I have to take my own advice and be like, technically I should just be ignoring that. Right? And I don't know if ignore is the right word, but like remove my focus and maybe compliment the way that they are being a good person. Like I actually don't know the right way to move forward. So I say that to say like I'm not the expert and I'm still figuring this out. I'm still figuring out how to actually create your own reality while still creating good in the world and still standing up for what you believe. Because I listen to Abraham Hicks a lot, and I guess it's a long story. If you don't know who Abraham Hicks is, go listen. They're phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But they talk a lot about how if you don't want something and you declare war on it and you fight against it, you're going to get more of it. They bring up the example of like a war on drugs, a war on AIDS, a war on violence, a war on terrorism. And it's like, as soon as we focus on those things and create a war and like focus on tearing it down, it truly seems like we just get more of it. And okay, listen, it's spoken in a girl's voice, but it's technically, they're channeling this spirit called Abraham, and the way that I just said that makes it sound really kooky. But just go listen. Like, they're actually awesome. Like, it doesn't sound woo-woo once you listen to it, but the whole story behind it does. Anyways, like, they're right, though, because the more that you focus on things, the more you get it. And even if you declare war on it and you say, no, I don't want that anymore, and you keep focusing on that and get that out of my face, how do we stop getting that? It's like, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on that. And when you're focusing on that, you don't leave a whole lot of room for anything else. You don't leave a whole lot of room for this. What about this? Have you decided if you want this yet? It's just like, try to spread your focus out onto like any other possibilities besides the current possibility in front of your face that you hate. If there's something in front of your face that you hate, just try to think of the other infinite possibilities that you could focus your energy and time and attention to. The reason that your energy is so important and your focus is so important is because it's like blood to a limb. And if you're focusing on this limb that you don't like, you're focusing on this extra toe that you hate, and you're just pumping blood into that extra toe, and you're like, I hate this toe, get rid of this toe, this is a stupid toe, and you're just focusing, like your energy is just focusing right into that thing, it's like, well, what about any other part of your body? What about any other part of your world? And it's like, as soon as you take your attention off of it, it's as if you've stopped the blood flow to that limb. And it can't survive for very long. It's not going to disappear immediately because it takes a while to wither away and shrivel and die off, but it will eventually if you stop giving it blood. It's like that neural pathway drawing a line in the sand. Every time you draw a line, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper in that neural pathway, and if you stop using it, eventually will erode over time and like be gone, because you'll make another divot that's deeper when you think that thought over and over and over and over again, and you're carving out those neural pathways and you're carving out the easier thought, because your brain wants to take like the route that's easiest. It's going to take that deepest groove. It's going to take the route of least resistance. And it takes a while for you to shovel out, no, I am good. I am worthy. I am helpful. I am kind. I am good. I am worthy. I am courageous. I am successful. And you can say those things to yourself over and over again. And then you get another opportunity when you're in a moment of not someone making you feel unworthy, of like a moment where you do feel unworthy and you're like, I feel awkward, I feel less than, then in that moment you do it again and you say, no, I am good. I do deserve this. And just like that, you're shoveling out that neural pathway again. You are putting the work in to remind yourself how good you are, how wonderful you are, how much you do deserve, because you do. You do deserve so much, and you do deserve to feel loved. Keep reminding yourself of that. At any moment when you don't feel successful, say, no, I'm going to get what I want. It is going to work out for me. I am the luckiest girl in the world. It is all coming together for me. I get everything I want. And just pour that love, attention as you dig out this new neural pathway and create a new life for yourself. Your focus is so important and so expensive. Expensive is a good thing in this sense, by the way. Like expensive, like rich and good and expensive, right? Okay. Another one, appreciation train. Think of how many people are employed just by you driving your car, just by you listening to music. So if I can't really think of anything to like think about in the moment that makes me feel good, think about the fact that you're driving a car. And it's like, how many people are employed by the fact that you're driving a car? Someone had to make the steering wheel. Someone had to make the mechanics inside of it. Someone had to be a salesman for it. Somebody had to put it together. Somebody had to drive it into the lot, right? Like all of those people, all of that abundance being poured into the economy, that's amazing. Think about the music. Somebody had to think of the lyrics. Somebody had to sing the lyrics. Someone had to master it and produce it. Somebody had to release it. Somebody on the Spotify team has to make sure that Spotify is up to date. Somebody had to make your phone so you could stream the music. Somebody had to invent Bluetooth so you can connect your music to your car. Somebody had to figure out how to even record sound in the first place. Like think about all of the abundance from just you listening to music, the amount of jobs created, the amount of innovation, the amount of goodness, the amount of smarts that had to happen, the amount of abundance in the world, and how much you are creating like this billion-dollar industry of music. Like that's amazing. There are so many people profiting and benefiting just from you enjoying your favorite music and living your life. And just start appreciating that as much as you can. Like if you're having a hard time figuring out what you want to feel good about, just pick that. Or like the what if game of like, wait, what if like it gets really good? What if this happens really well? What if I actually really enjoy this? What if I do get everything I want? If I did get everything I want, like if I did get a Porsche one day, what color would it be? What if I made the interior this color? Oh my gosh, what if the gas prices dropped right as I got it? That'd be so cool. What if they created an electric one right as I got it? And like, what if this and what if that and what if this and what if I got a new house that had an electric hookup or something? Like play that what if game and just be like, wait, everything's working out for me. Okay, last one. Remember that everything you observe in your physical reality started in your head. Before you criticize something, remember who put it there. Take courage in the fact that nothing can scare or really harm you because you have already experienced that in some sense, and you can change it. So anything you see in your world, you are so powerful. Please come away from this knowing how powerful you are. You are such a beautiful, powerful creator. You are capable of anything you put your mind to. You are capable of anything that you can dream possible. Any love, any family, any success, anything, okay? You're capable of all of it just because you have the ability to observe and imagine it. And like whenever anybody tells me something that's like really smart, or like really cool, or really good, I just think of it as like my higher self placing that information in my path, and it's something I already know. whenever I listen to Abraham Hicks, I'm like, you know what? Thank you, higher self. I'm like, thank you, all of my positive thoughts and positive momentum, for bringing this information into my life, for bringing this person into my life. Like, this is just me looking out for me. This is just me making sure I get the information that I need to know. This is just me making sure that I'm in the right place at the right time, learning what I need to learn for my next step of life. So just know that everything is happening on purpose to get you exactly what you want in life. And sometimes it takes a lot of things battering you down all at once to realize that you are the one who was feeling battered down, and those things just flowed to you again. And it takes that sometimes for you to say, oh, let's switch this. Let's figure out a different way. Because the reason that I got so much into this manifestation journey is because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Sometimes it takes you to get to that point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. I can't have this same loop over and over and over again. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And this information is coming to you at the right time. You are in the right place. And you know what? If you're at that point where you're kind of at your lowest and you're like, all right, I can't anymore, something's gotta give. Just know that you are so capable. Everything is going to be okay. And it doesn't take too much. Like, it doesn't take you sacrificing a whole shit ton and like blood, sweat, and tears and everything. Like, it really just takes the opportunity cost for this is just feeling good and being proud of yourself and being gentle and kind and feeling good and feeling happy. So, last things I wrote down are: fear is a choice and a habit. Lack is a choice and a habit. Judgment and criticism is a choice and a habit. Anger and annoyance is a choice and a habit. Insecurity is a choice and a habit. Those things come from you choosing to feel them over and over again. And a habit is just something you do over and over again. So by choosing something, it becomes a habit that you do over and over again. The great thing about a habit is you can break habits and you can form new habits. So, on that same line, luck is a choice and a habit. You choose to feel lucky, and you choose to continue that thought of feeling lucky day after day, and it becomes part of you, and it becomes your new reality. Happiness is a choice. You continue making that choice, and it becomes a habit. Success is a choice. You continue believing in your success and your abundance. That thought becomes a habit. That habit becomes your reality, and your success is a choice and a habit. Good friendships are a choice and a habit. Love is a choice and a habit. Wealth is a choice and a habit. You keep thinking about your wealth, your success. That thought becomes your habit. That's your successful, wealthy habit. Ease is a choice and a habit. Satisfaction is a choice and a habit. Forgiveness is a choice and a habit. Confidence is a choice and a habit. And courage is a choice and a habit. So that is kind of all I have to say to you right now. That's the end of our spiel and our rant. And I'm going to be putting this podcast on day 14 of our workout challenge, because I want you guys to work out your bodies for 6 days and then work out your minds for a day. And then we'll go to the next week, 6 weeks, 6 days of working your mind, and then a day, 6 days, wow. I've been working my mind and my body a lot recently. 6 days of working your body, 1 day of working your mind, and challenging yourself, challenging your beliefs. So write down things that you want to change, and write them in a way of like, oh, I don't want this. Okay, what do I want? And just be aware of yourself and your mind and your habits and your thoughts this week with love, courage, and grace. Don't get down on yourself. There's no reason to get down on yourself, because you are never too far gone. Like, you are never making a mistake that you can't fix. I honestly don't believe in mistakes. Like, you aren't making a mistake right now. You're simply experiencing. You aren't doing anything wrong right now. You're simply experiencing, and there is no wrong way to experience. There's no wrong way to live this life. There's no wrong way to experience this life, but there are ways for you to be like happier, which is great. I mean, if you're here, you probably want to be happier in some sense. So it's like, whatever you're doing, you're fine. No one's going to condemn you for it. Like, you're good. I mean, if they are condemning you, that comes from where? Your own brain, right? You're the only person who can condemn you. And I believe firmly in God, and like, things that I hear from him frequently is, do not condemn yourself, because I have never condemned you. Even when I was doing things that I thought he didn't approve of, he has never condemned me. He will never condemn you. You are never condemned. There's no wrong way to experience this life. You are simply just experiencing. Whether you are where you want to be or not, which most of us are always in a place we don't want to be, which is awesome because that means we have more and more and more places that we do want to be. This world is just about deciding where we want to be, getting to that point, and then figuring out something else, deciding where else we want to be, and getting to that point. So no matter where you are on your journey, if you're satisfied with where you're at, if you're in the process of experiencing something you don't want that allows you to decide what you do want, celebrate it wherever you are. Please know that you are doing a really good job. Your universe is proud of you. I am proud of you. You're doing a good job wherever you are. And take this only as hope and vigor and get in there. You are so vibrant. You are so amazing. And I hope you guys realize how powerful you are as a creator. Use that power for good. Use it deliberately and get back out there. I love you so much. This has been BS with Bethany Simcoe. Follow along on our Instagram. It's BS with Bethany Simcoe, and comment your favorite things you've learned from this episode or anything that you have questions on, anything that you loved and really resonate with. I also love hearing from you on Instagram or on my TikTok, which is just my name, Bethany Simcoe. But if you haven't joined our workout challenge, it will be for free on YouTube at the end of January. So all 30 days of the workouts will be released, and then these podcasts will also be released. So by the time you're hearing this, they will already be released. I love you so much, and I will see you when I see you.